Yeah, you know, I've seen on Facebook, I think, in one Indian city, I don't remember which one. This like policeman going around with this coronavirus helmet to scare people, but at the same time to make them understand that they have
Yeah.
to social
Well,
distance. Okay. Hi, Sonam. Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, I do.
Okay, great. Do
Perfectly.
I need to put the headphones or you're okay?
I hear you perfectly.
Okay, great.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. Thanks.
Fine.
Thanks so much for accepting our invitation. So glad that
No, it's a
you're
great
with us.
pleasure, honestly.
Nice. So let me give you an idea of what is this. So this is a podcast, video podcast that we
Right.
are registering. And this is set up as let's say, an informal interview that I'm doing with several professionals in the interior design and the architectural field.
Okay.
And in the meantime, so while we talk, our creative director, so creative director of Tecnografica, Mr. Marco Fontana, will live hand draw during our conversation. So
Yeah, that's
to get
interesting.
this even more interesting.
Yeah, that's good actually.
So, Sonam, it's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'd like to start right away the episode asking you to give a presentation of yourself and your work, so for our community to understand
Of course.
your job.
So basically, I'm an interior designer and I studied designing at Raffles Institute. And I did my master's in UK in UCA, and I've been doing this since the past 8, 9 years. So interior designing and architecture. I worked with two separate firms as well, and then eventually I joined my father's firm, father being Kiran Gala. So I've been with him since the past 7 years now, 7 long years. So it's been a very thrilling experience. You get to meet a lot of new people. I get to travel as well. So I've been to Italy for the Salone Fair a couple of times. And I've been to the MNO, the Maison and Object in Paris as well, to understand different trends of design and meet a lot of different people. So it's quite an interesting job for me as well. And it keeps me on the move and trying to keep track of what is happening, what is new, and every day something new comes up. So I think it's good to always be in touch with new people, meet new people, and say for your company as well. And thanks to Niro as well, he got in touch with you all, and then I've been researching your company as well. It's really interesting that you all do all these ecological materials, and all your wall coverings are quite interesting. So yeah, it's good. I get to learn new things. I really like that about the
Th-
job.
Thanks so much. And as you said, it's pretty interesting to know new people, especially in these times, in this very strange times that we are living in these days. And talking about this, you know, this podcast has a focus, especially in understanding how different people and different countries are facing the situation that we are living today. So my question to you is how your job has been influenced by the situation that we are living today, and how your country is keeping up with this.
Um, so firstly, it's a very unfortunate situation, but I think at the same time, it's making us realize to not abuse Mother Nature as such, and maybe respect it even more. It probably asked us to stop, because I think we all live in cities that are extremely fast paced. So it probably asks us to, like, kind of pause, understand what we are going through, what we are doing, giving it a thought, and then maybe get some time to recuperate, reinvent yourself. So I think if you look at it from a very positive point of view, and of course you have to stay safe and healthy and wash your hands, etc. But
Yeah.
at the same time, yeah, but at the same time, it makes us realize, how important it is to be with your family, to care for people, to kind of do things that you actually never got the time to do. So firstly, it's all of that. And secondly, it's making us realize that we can work from home as well. You can have meetings from home. It's not like work has to stop. Obviously, a few things like designers, you have to go to factories, you have to see the samples, you have to approve things, you have to go to the site and project work, etc. But at the same time, you realize maybe traveling so much just to meet people, you can reduce that and maybe have a more of these kind of Zoom calls or phone calls, or Skype calls I've used to do ages ago, but probably now it's gotten more importance. So I think nothing should stop us, and I think it's teaching us to kind of realize all these things and maybe become good chefs as well, because I think everyone's been cooking at home really lately.
Definitely. And I think this is something that especially the younger generation are appreciating a lot. Yesterday I was talking with an Indian colleague of yours, and
Yeah.
he told me that in Mumbai, they spend half of the day in the car, in the traffic jam.
Yeah,
So this has
yeah,
been also an opportunity for them to be able to stay
exactly. And then
more at home.
suddenly you realize that you've got a lot many hours in the day, and you'll be like, oh my God, I've like the day is really long suddenly, and you'll be like, I can do things.
Yeah, I can do 10 things per day once. I used to do just two.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's teaching us a lot of important things about life and what we can do. So I think it's good to reinvent ourselves. And maybe
De-
for the future generation, it's easier for them also to understand to use their resources wisely. So that is also very important again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Is also very interesting to me to understand how this situation will affect and influence the design trends in every country. How do you think this will influence the design trends in India, for example?
Um, I think the luxury market, as we come into a service industry, it might obviously get a hit. Like, you feel like, nobody will probably spend as much money as they used to buy certain products, say imported products. We used to import a lot of furniture from Italy and maybe a few of them from China, but obviously all that is going to stop for a little while. So the luxury market segment is probably going to stop, and the clients will probably want their necessities in place as well. And another thing, secondly, I don't know if you've heard this whole speech by our prime minister. He was actually talking about self-sustaining.
Hmm.
Since we have a huge labor force in our country, I think a lot of help is going to be given to our local laborers to kind of invent things and produce things and maybe self-sustain our country and not be dependent on probably other country for our basic necessities, at least. So if you're removing luxury goods out of the whole segment, maybe the necessities can be taken care of. So I think there's a different way of thinking now, when even as designers, when we will be probably making houses or something, we'll probably try to see, if we can get something local and get something that's economical, recyclable. So maybe it's gonna change the way we used to think before.
Definitely.
And yeah, and then we are gonna probably use new things, different materials, etc. It's going to be fun, honestly.
This is the same thing, same exact thing that told me a few weeks ago. A good friend of mine from Ghana, sorry, from Nigeria.
Okay.
So he told me the same. So that they used to import a lot of luxury things from abroad, but
Yeah,
since seeing the situation now, they will um, rely more on local supplier even for this. So this is something that will definitely also affect the European manufacturers.
definitely. Yeah.
How how about your projects? Are you more focused on residential projects or commercial projects?
So usually we do a lot of residences, especially high-end projects. So that's why we used to come a lot to Italy. It would be like one of our, not even during the Salone time, we would in fact visit Italy just to buy furniture, or we would come for marble procurement, etc. So we basically come in those luxury segment, but the client would want to spend a lot of money on their house, mostly residences. Um, But yeah, so we basically do all top to finish designing, like let it be from marble to the lighting. We ended with towels as well, to match with the bathroom, and
Yeah.
floor mats, and obviously flowers, accessories. So everything. It's like a complete project from start to the bottom. So yeah, so that usually happens. And in fact, I did 2 apartments in London recently, central London. So that was a different experience altogether again, because different countries have different ways of working, very different from India. But yeah, it's a very good experience, obviously, working in different places altogether.
And
But
do you think that residential projects will also be in influence in the future, especially when we talk about smart working, so working from
yeah,
home? Now people have a need to have a space in their home where
right.
they can focus and maybe they can work without having
Yeah.
babies around or dogs
Yeah.
around or
Yeah. So I have a 5-month-old kid who's sleeping right now. So this timing was perfectly working for me. But yeah, I think they're gonna change the way they look at things, and probably buying expensive clothes. Say, for example, we used to go to Zara and H&M, as a basic buying outlet, but obviously that's shut. So now we're all thinking, where do you buy clothes from? But then slowly, there are these vendors in India who are trying to make their local cotton style clothes, which we would kind of manage. So I think eventually for us also, we are going to acclimatize to different needs that you require. Obviously, like a room to work from home, think twice if you travel too much, saving a lot of time. And I think understanding that family is also important, because in India, we used to literally just get 2 hours of our life with our parents or with the kids. So I think now we get to spend more time with the kids, and you realize even you're a part of their development, they're a part of your work. It's like kind of mix the boundaries between both the lives, I think.
yeah.
So it's made it more casual than being formal as well. So I think it's good in a way, honestly.
Yeah, definitely the mindset is changing. Now there is a combination of professional and personal life more than ever. Used to be very separated, but now it's combining together. Also
Yeah.
because most of the time, or at least for the last 2 months, we are working in the same place where we are sleeping and eating,
Yeah.
and so this is changing a lot of minds.
Yeah. Also, obviously, it's not probably for the best, or maybe I don't know, because example like Bolshoi Theater in Russia, they started this whole online YouTube of their ballet plays that they were sending across as links. But the only problem with this whole thing is the experience. Like sometimes you would want to go to a store, see materials, feel materials, see the color. I don't know if in our industry, working from home can be absolutely essential. Like I don't think we come from backgrounds of lawyers or anyone who's working like a desk job.
Yeah.
We come from more like you go out, you do research on materials, you see colors. I don't know how true does a digital platform kind of work for us, because eventually you have to sit on a chair to buy it, you have to understand the ergonomics of something to make it. So I think for our industry, for where designers come from, it is going to be a little difficult, but we have to move out eventually to kind of take this entire thing forward. Like in our country, the site work, there are a lot of laborers that come in. We have everything that's customized on
Mhm.
site. We don't have like factory produced as much as any other countries. So we need to keep on going. So sitting from home, I don't know if it's going to help too much, but yeah, it'll probably help maybe 1 or 2 hours in a week or something like that, maybe cutting short the day as such. But
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we are no lawyers or professors, so we have to touch things and see things and see
exactly.
colors and
Yeah.
live from real.
Yeah.
And talking about this, I was wondering your opinion on the exhibitions, the fairs. You told me before that you used to visit
Yeah.
every year Salone del Mobile in Milan, Maison Objet in Paris. How do you think this will affect this industry, and how designers and architects will change?
Um, See, firstly, I think in the near future, it'll be exactly the same, because the need Okay, since a very long time, I think a lot of these companies have started their website with their AutoCAD drawings of furniture, which you can download, place it. You can probably see it, but it still doesn't work well because you eventually have to go there and see the sofa or see like a product or a light piece with your own eyes, see where the shadows are, the reflection is. Sit on a chair to understand, because maybe every chair is not made for everyone, honestly. So you need to sit on it, maybe touch something, figure out how high, low it is, whether it's going to fit or no. I think going to these exhibitions are still going to be very vital to keep up the whole cycle of our design system working. But since all of us have gone through this, I'm sure everybody's going to take it really very seriously to go wear probably masks. I don't know if that's going to be the future, but probably wear designer masks or something designed by a couple of Italian designers. I think it's going to be all of that. But I think, yeah, visiting exhibition is not going to die. It's like, you're going for a museum, or you're going to a museum. You will eventually go to a museum. You cannot look at a Mona Lisa sitting, in front of a, like your computer and be like, oh my god, it's amazing. I think you have to go there to experience it.
Yeah, I think
So,
this the example of museums is perfect. Since, for example, the Uffizi galleries in Florence, they started this virtual tour that you can check
yeah,
online. But of course, it's different to see a Leonardo da Vinci portrait
exactly.
from
Yeah.
a computer and then seeing for real.
I think the whole experience of touching it, maybe feeling it, is very important. I think that's something that we humans associate with things. I think that's the first thing. I think the lack of that is going to be very, very depressing. Probably the results might not be as good. So I
Mhm.
think it's going to go on. It has to go on, I think. Hopefully it goes on. But
Maybe in the future there will be a combination of the two things. So there will be more active in from the digital marketing point of view, from the
yeah,
website point of view, but at the same time they will be able to
showcase.
showcase in their showrooms. And talking about this is also interesting to understand your point of view, especially in India, in your country, regarding vendors. That they are, of course, very important for manufacturer company because they are a display, a showcase of the materials that professionals and private clients can touch and feel. How do you think they should work in the next future?
Um, Technically, initially, they can obviously start by showcasing their entire work, probably online or maybe through their website or something of that sort, maybe removing really, zoomed in images so you probably can understand what the fabric texture is like, maybe in your head. But eventually, I think sampling courier system would work
Mm.
great if they have samples ready, and they could probably send out like a 1 day courier service and send it to the clients, because eventually, okay, if we understand what it means, but sometimes it's difficult for clients to understand what we are talking about as well. So unless you don't have the whole swatch ready and the whole sample board ready, mood board ready, it's going to be difficult for everybody to move on. So I think making smaller samples and then couriering it across, but I think they do that in at least in London. I know that we used to go to the Chelsea Harbour to get samples, so they used to make like small ready
Yeah.
samples, or they would just courier it to you. They'd be like, we don't have it, but we'll send it to you, and we would get it in 2 days. So I think that could probably work as well, where you don't have to go physically and get it done. But yeah, I think this is something like that could help, like marble samples or a tile sample. You could send it across, and different color swatches, and maybe everybody can follow similar color code. Like right now we have like different companies of colors and they have different codes.
Mm.
Probably if everybody would follow one color chart, um and then understand what the color is like, so maybe that could also help visually, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, also because for professional is easier to understand the products even from a picture because they are already used to know the materials. But a private client that is maybe
Yeah,
it is the first time that they see this product, they have to touch it, they have to feel it
yeah,
because they
yeah.
will actually buy it eventually.
Exactly, and they have to sit on it and probably look at it for the rest of their lives. But yeah,
Exactly, exactly. Especially if you're quarantined, so you have to watch your walls or
yeah,
furniture
yeah,
20 hours straight per day.
yeah.
You know, a couple of days ago, I was talking with a Japanese architect, and we discuss about the importance or non-importance of the hard copy catalogs in the future, because he
Yeah.
said, now I'm smart working
Hmm.
in my house, so I don't have space to put 100 catalogs as I did in my office.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. So I think online catalogs is helpful again because it's easier to make presentations. You can just make a PPT and send it across to people instead of, ages ago, I think we used to get only catalogs of it. We would click a picture of it. I remember there would be no website and we would
Hmm.
scan it and then put it on the computer and get the exact size. So I think it's all changed for the better, obviously, because once you get it, you want to save paper and save all the cost of printing as well. So I think that's a very good thing where they have everything on the computer, obviously, so storage spaces and everything. But issue is again, I don't know how well it goes, but sometimes I remember one of my hard drive kind of got blocked and had all my data about furniture
Mm.
details on that. And okay, maybe you have a backup, but do you have a backup of a backup of a backup? I don't
Yeah,
know how
yeah.
that
Backup
works.
squared.
Exactly. So I think, I don't know, there's always a pro and con to the whole thing, because then I remember I had a same, like, I think it was with Minotti, and I had the old catalog of Minotti stacked in my office, and I went and I completely grabbed everything just to understand what are the proportions like. So I think there's gonna be a pro and con about it. I mean, either you have a huge cloud drive memory space where you can load everything on the internet since we have it, but maybe increase the amount so you don't lose your data.
Yeah, yeah. Now that would be useful to have everything on the web, so you don't have to use your own space, but you use the
Yeah,
internet space, and this would be very helpful, especially for professionals. And
yeah,
another interesting thing is the office projects, because this is an important part of the architectural world, and
right.
and in the last years the open office trend was exploding, but now since this situation everything has changed a bit, because open
Yeah.
office, it's a bit difficult to do right now. So how do you think the office field will change in the next future?
So I think offices are gonna be more like homestay offices. Probably like they would probably have like a place where you could stay in or maybe work for a couple of days and then go back home or something.
Yeah.
That would be easier because then you can reduce the travel cost. Like for somebody who's staying 3 hours away or something from work, and especially in Bombay, a place like Bombay, you take like 2 hours to come and 2 hours to go. So if somebody has work, they could probably do 2 hours of that and come back home and finish the 2 hours of day of work, and they could probably do like a 30% working staff at every day, and they will probably swap between each other. And given the designing space, probably you will maybe not require as much as a massive space as you used to to house like all those 100 people that you want to sit with. You could probably give like 90% of working space, other can be all maybe a TV area or something like a room or something to stay in for someone. So if they want to stay in, they could. So I think it's more like a balanced sort of a workspace where
Yeah.
somebody wants to work for 24 hours, they could, and then go back home and then they could be fine. I think it's something to do with the amount of work that's given to a person, and you could finish that in a particular time and then go back.
Yeah,
I think,
this is like the Google way of working. So giving specific tasks to people, and they will finish their tasks and then start
and
other ones. It's a really a new way of working, and
yeah,
especially for some countries. I can make the example of Italy, for example. Italy, from this point of view, is a very traditional
mm,
country. Mm,
yeah,
people have to go to work, do their work, then go home, and then. But in this way, in the last couple of months, we have been forced to find a new way of working, and I think this will last in the next future. I can make some example in our company as well. Designers that are working from home, maybe now they are more efficient from home than they were
yeah.
in the company, because they can focus, they maybe have less distraction, maybe they can do
Exactly.
the
And maybe
same work
something
in
to do
less
with
time.
the hours of working. Also, maybe you force somebody to work from that particular 9 to 6 slot. But as designers, probably I don't know. I usually get ideas when I'm taking a shower. So I'll be like, oh,
Yeah,
I can.
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
And then maybe if you have your laptop or if you have your computer where you can work, you just probably immediately go and do something. It kind of helps, because the link
Definitely.
is not broken and it's always there with you. So
I think this is what is changing. So the fact that as we said before, we are combining personal life and
yeah,
professional life. For example, whenever I have an idea, maybe I'm doing something completely different from work,
yeah,
but I send myself an email with the phone, do this tomorrow, or otherwise I forgot.
yeah,
And this is something that is changing, and it's very interesting that
yeah.
it only need a global pandemic to do
Make
this
you
switch.
realize,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I think that there's always this something, that makes you want to realize. I think we kind of push the limits too far. Yeah, I think it's given us a reality check probably that, this is, hey,
Definitely,
this is what you can do. But yeah.
definitely. And how is the situation right now in your place? And
So it's not as bad as probably Italy or probably right now America is worse
yeah, yeah, yeah.
from the looks of it. But I think we came to know we got hit a little later than the other maybe European places as well.
Hmm.
But luckily, our prime minister has kept us on a complete lockdown since a couple, like 2 months, I think now. A lot of people have stopped working from home completely. If you have to, schools and everything is obviously shut. But if you need something, then you go from a particular time frame, and that's what these shops are open for. But Amazon, like deliveries were shut for the longest time.
Yeah.
They just opened up like 2 days ago or something. But unfortunately, all the hospitals and all not in a very good state. If
But
somebody goes there, they get affected and then it kind of gets passed on. And we all kind of stay in these apartments, like buildings,
mm,
which rise up to like probably like 18 floors or more than that. So if there's one person who's affected in this, the whole building gets quarantined because they're using elevators and they're touching. So that is really difficult. For everyone. So everyone has to be really careful, lock the whole building down with security guards and everything. So we have to be even more careful about all of these things.
yeah, yeah.
But we're hoping that something better comes up probably till December. Hopefully we should know if there is something uh, that's going to make us feel okay. There's some medicine that could help us, but I don't know from the looks
Yeah.
of it.
No, nobody knows, especially the president of the United States. He doesn't know. Um, but no, it's it's also interesting to understand your opinion in terms of how do you think India will come out of this situation. Do you think that it will take a lot of time to recover to get back to how it
Um,
was, or less
So,
time?
to understand that if we have a lot of percentage of laborers, like worker class people,
Hmm.
who are still stuck somewhere, and they're all together somewhere. They want to go back to their villages, and now it's starting to spread that area in those areas. So spreading in the city is all right, but because we have medical help faster. But if you think about the other places, the small village areas and everything, very difficult for probably the vaccinations to
Oh yeah.
go there, and it spreads really easily. Also, the education level is not very, high in India as well. So it's very difficult for everyone to understand, to follow certain sort of rules. But given that as well, I think we did quite well. But all the other, like, I think Uber fired in India. I think they fired a lot of drivers right now. So a lot of people are going out of jobs as well. A lot of companies are shutting down. I think it's gonna take a year or two for them to, get the whole thing driven. So that's why the government made a whole thing about, trying to self-sustain. If we buy locally, people start working, workers get their work back, and everything kind of churns back into a cycle, like all the money keeps on rolling. But yeah, it's gonna be, take local from the farmers. Like initially we used to buy apples from New Zealand, I think. So I think now it's going to be Indian apples, the fascination about the foreign land. But I think everything is gonna be more local at the moment, so hopefully that could help us sustain, maybe.
Yeah, also because every country now will want to help itself, and
Yeah.
so in terms of tourism as well, I guess that a lot of Indian people, as a lot of Italian people, they will do their holidays within the country, so locally they will not go
Yeah,
abroad.
so the tourist and everything would probably increase, tourism will increase locally as well. So, because everybody would want to go abroad. I mean, we were supposed to go for Euros, obviously it got cancelled, and
Where would you go?
we were planning to go to Budapest,
Ah.
and so we had bought tickets as well. So we've obviously not got a refund, but let's see. I don't know what's that going to be like.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's a difficult situation for airlines companies as well,
Yeah, yeah. So
unfortunately.
yeah. So it's like everything is gone. So we were supposed to go there. So now eventually we were like, okay, I think we just have to, take a break in India, and I think probably give our country some money rather than going anywhere
Oh yeah.
else.
And how is your government facing the situation, even in terms of from the economical point of view, for example? Is it helping the companies, giving money, pushing the
Um,
economy?
right now they started a fund sort of a thing, but the main idea is to help all those laborers, people who don't have jobs, people like to give them food, provide them with shelter. That is the main idea as of now, rather than helping people who have enough to sustain themselves for a couple of months. I think the main core idea is to probably send them to their houses, transport
Mm.
them. 'Cause I think the trains are working, but they're not filling it up. They're giving one compartment, only three people, trying to maintain their social distancing, send them home. So that is what is going on at the moment, because it's better than them being stranded on the road with no food, rather than you
Yeah.
have to send them with their to their families. So
Yeah, but I guess it is pretty difficult to social distancing in a country with 1.3 or 4 billion
it is
people.
so difficult. You have no idea. Like even in the lift, if there's somebody else standing, and be like, okay, okay, we'll come
Yeah.
again.
And now all the time that you see someone else crossing you on the street, you look them in a bad way, and he as well. So there's a kind
Yeah,
of
and the worst is if someone just coughs from far away, you're like, oh my God, you don't know where
yeah,
to go.
yeah, exactly. And this is pretty strange for countries like India or Italy, where there's a lot of kissing and hugging, and so this is
Holding hands, yeah, but and
exactly.
also a lot of people stay in a house that probably would be in like a three bedroom apartment that would probably be like 12 people staying on an average, or a 10 people. Very few that would be like three people staying in like one house. So there are already so many people staying in one house, and then we obviously have helps to help us with the whole like cook and everything. So there are so many people staying in one house. It's very difficult to you have to be really serious about trying to wash your hands, cover your face,
Yeah,
take a bath when you come back home. So people have to be really careful actually, because
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I think that they are starting to understand how to act, how to wash their
Yeah,
hands.
yeah. Because I
Uh,
think initially they all thought, oh, I might not get it, I take a bath, I'm fine.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Especially at the beginning, and
yeah,
there were a lot of videos and TV programs showing how to wash your hands,
yeah,
and that was very important to understand how to do that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And now even if there's a tomato at home that's unwashed, you're like, oh my God, let's just wash this first.
yeah. I've seen on Facebook. I think in one Indian city. I don't remember which one. This like policeman going around with this coronavirus helmet to scare people, but at the same time to make them understand that they have
Yeah.
to social
Because
distance.
it's very difficult for them, because as I said, the level of education is a bit, percentage wise,
Yeah,
it's really low. To make them understand is very difficult, because I have a baby nanny who stays with me, and then she wanted to go. And I would be like, when you go, you travel for one whole day. What if you get it and you have kids as well? So you don't
yeah,
want your
exactly.
kids to get it because you want to go there. So
Yeah.
I was like, you need to be really careful. But it's very difficult to make them understand. I know for a fact, if there's a bus going to her house right now, she'll probably hop on it, and she'll probably go.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's difficult because then it's something that will everybody is affected by this. So there's no. It's not a matter of education or social situation?
Definitely no, no, no. But they just have to be really stringent about the whole thing, you know. I mean, they shouldn't think that I won't get it or
Yeah.
I don't have it where I go. My house doesn't have it, but never.
You, you know, uh, talking a bit about something which is not coronavirus, I'd like to ask you, as I do usually with the people I interview, to give us an idea of your method in terms of work. So, how do you start and finish a specific project? What is your guidelines and your method? And this is very useful, especially for our community, which is composed by interior designers and architects from all over the countries, and it's important to understand your point of view on that as well.
So what we usually do is, firstly, we try to understand what sort of a lifestyle the client is leading. That's very important because obviously when you make a house for a client, you want them to get upgraded a bit from where they're staying or how they're staying. Also to understand what sort of colors they're into, what sort of a styling they want. Sometimes it's modern, sometimes it's classical, etc. So understanding the client's brief is of utmost importance. And secondly, then we start with the whole planning process and giving them options of plans and layouts and material boards and what would they prefer, like say wood, marble, etc. Eventually all the aesthetics are obviously us. And since everything is customized by us, like say the wardrobe is also made by us in at place, like in the site, on the site. For example, a couple of beds also. We usually our loose furniture would only be chairs or dining table or like a console, etc. Lighting probably. Maybe like wall coverings. So all those would be bought, but everything else we would be customized and we make. So we usually make a lot of these mock-ups on site to make them understand, how is it going to be, because we usually don't prefer doing a lot of 3D renderings because honestly, it's never as good as it's supposed to be in reality. Because when you go at a place, you see the lighting, you see the wind
Yeah.
elevation, you see the timing. So all of that changes in the day at in a particular room as well. So we usually do a lot of these mock-ups on the site, and we show them if they like it, should we go ahead with it, this is how it's going to be, to make them understand. And once with their approval, we start the whole process. Secondly, we kind of work with a lot of details. A lot of detailing is going to the place to get something right, to hide the beams, to hide the columns, to probably make it look really good aesthetically as well. We get into a lot of those details, sit with the carpenters, understand how is it made and how we can do it, how we can change it. So we usually get into that to kind of make some sort of a timeless design. So something like maybe in 10 years also, when you enter a place or a house or something that we've designed, we want it to still look good, and like it's made 2 years ago probably. And a lot of our clients do come back to us after 20 years being like, you know what, we want to redo the house now again. We didn't have to do anything, we just had to like do a touch of a paint or something, and then we were still fine staying in it. So I think eventually it comes down to quality. We you spend a little bit more on better products, more long lasting products, say hardware, or like furniture, or let it be the finishes as well, but I know for a fact that they last for longer. That's the only thing. So we prefer working with materials like that.
Quality
So
materials that last in time, that you don't have to change every 2 days.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree.
and
So, yeah.
and do you have some projects going on now, or maybe do you have some projects that have been forced to stop because of this situation?
So we had like our company actually has like some 10 odd projects going on right now. So obviously they're on a halt right now because our major projects, they depend on labor force, like the carpenters, the painters, electricians. And we have like on a site, if it's a 3 BHK, we have like some 40-50 people working
Mm.
in one place together. So obviously that is all on hold at the moment. And even if we do have these con calls with the client, but it's very difficult to make them understand what we are thinking without the material board again, as we spoke about. So we're still waiting for things to start so that we can start the work, and then slowly, because none of the buildings are going to allow anyone coming from outside as well, right? So none of them, no workers will be allowed, no contractors would be allowed, we wouldn't be allowed to enter the building. So yeah, everything is gonna stop unless, they're gonna be okay and you're following certain norms or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Even because the building and the construction field is one of the most important in every country, and
yeah.
the one that really start and push the economy from
Yeah.
so many point of views. Nice. Sonam, it was really great to talk with you. I don't
Yeah,
want to
this is
keep
fun as
you
well.
1 hour along, and but it was very interesting and especially inspiring for the professionals that usually follow us in these initiatives, because they can understand the method of work of different people in different countries, which
Yeah,
sometimes is similar and sometimes is different from their own. So it's
I
definitely
agree. No, this is really good actually. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor actually.
it's been our pleasure, really, really our pleasure. And also Marco right now, I think, is drawing some Mona Lisa
Yeah,
with the mask.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
No, no, it's
Wonder-
really good actually.
Cool.
Thank
Okay,
you so
Sonam.
much.
Thanks so much again. And
And hopefully we get to see each other when I come to Italy for the fair.
in Milan, maybe.
Yep. Yes, in Milan.
You
Yeah.
know, we are doing, I think there is another important exhibition in October usually, which is called Cersaie, which is
Yeah.
more, do you know that? You know
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this is more focused on bathroom ceramic tiles.
Right.
But then I think the Salone del Mobile 2021 will be
Is it the kitchen or is it the bathroom this time? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know even. I don't know. But I think that the next, so the Salone del Mobile 2021 will really be the new start for the Italian economy and for the design industry as well, because that is the most important
Yeah.
exhibition
Yeah.
in
We're
terms.
looking forward to coming in.
Yeah,
Like,
looking forward to see you for
yes,
real, and
same
maybe
here.
maybe without masks and
Hopefully.
being
Let's
able to shake our hands.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, hopefully. I hope that happens though.
Sonam, thanks so much again, and
Same
we'll be in
here.
touch.
Stay safe. Take care.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye.